The original plan for today was to fly the Raven Navy, but I realized that I dropped about 25 billion ISK on ships and new rigs. So I have to cool down a little bit with the navies for this week. And I'm in the process of selling some rigs that I built, so in about a couple days, I would say in about like 2 or 3 days, I'll be able to easily build a super chunky Raven Navy. Although I'm still kind of torn between a DPS Raven Navy or a chunk Raven Navy. I have no idea which one I'll build. But so far, most of my, well, all of my navies right now are all bricks basically. Very tanky ships. Now, I have the option to basically sell the Revelation. This is a ship that I haven't been in for quite a while. I actually almost forgot that I had this thing, but yeah, it's still here. I have no skills for it. I have no skills for it at the moment, mostly because I skilled out, but I used to fly this thing quite often, and perhaps I may or may not skill back into the Revelation in the next, well, in the next month. Maybe I actually will skill back into the Revelation. Depends on how things go. But I have no idea what I'll do with this ship. I had the idea to sell it, but obviously, as you can see, the ship hasn't been sold. I do receive some very dumb offers. I remember someone offered like 12 billion, someone offered 15 billion. Like the offers are just literal scams, and I'm definitely not going to fall for any scam. So yeah, the ship is still basically in my possession here, and we will see how that will go. But the Revelation is as beautiful as ever. This thing looks awesome. I love this thing. It's a awesome looking Dreadnought. Now what do I have in the cargo hold here? I have no idea. Let's see. Oh, I have some fuel and yeah, okay. Might be useful for a different time. Now today I'll be flying a variety of different ships. Have some very hilarious skills that I would love to share with you. And in this station I have a lot of Velators for some reason. And someone actually mentioned, the last videos, why do you have like 4 Velators in your state? I have no idea. I have no idea how these ships got here, but most of my ships are in a different station. I have 2 main stations basically, and some of the ships have to be returned to their original place. But the navies here haven't been changed, and they are still rolling the same build as in the last couple videos. The Tempest, I kinda like how this looks. Very happy with the performance so far. Very happy with the overall tank, and I'm still thinking what I could improve next. I mean, this is also kind of a practice run for the Raven Navy. Maybe I will just go with a DPS Raven Navy. I know the builds that you can use to kill a glass carrier. Maybe I'll do that, although a super chunky fleet issue or navy battleship can easily do the heavy lifting. Can be a heavy tackle for a carrier. These things have a lot of hit points and a lot of resistance. Now I said that I will be reworking the build on my other navy, on the Megathor navy, since last time when we got jumped by a bunch of battleships, the ship lasted about 3 minutes, and the main problem that I had with the tank at that moment was the lack of a second armor repairer. So I kind of realized that a single armor repairer is probably not going to be a good idea for let's say when you get jumped by a fleet, you want to have more armor repair, but you also want to have resistance. So the build that I have kind of imagined that is something that I have to work on still. Not entirely sure if it's going to be the best thing yet, but technically I imagined to have something like this: triple adaptives, dual armor repairs, and basically a damage control. Now it does lose the reactive hardener, and the reactive hardener might be very useful if the hostile fleet is basically using a single weapon system, basically a single weapon system that does dual or single damage. So it is still capacitor stable. In this case, 50% about 50% capacitor stability with dual Nosferatus, triple adaptives, and a damage. Now let's undock and let me show you the resistance on this thing. But so far, I mean, I've been really happy with the previous builds. No complaints about that one as well. But the only complaint that I can technically have, I guess, is the lack of armor repair. But honestly, it did hold really well, even without a second armor repair. So 553,000 hit points. This is without the thermocirculation implant. With the thermocirculation, the tank is much higher, but 87, 92, 89, and 91%. And with the damage control active, we have 1.6 million hit points, 96, 97, 96, and 97. With the thermocirculation implant, that would be about 1.8 to 2 million. So there's definitely a big difference between using or not using the reactive hardener. So have to see how this build will do. Haven't had a chance to test it out yet, but the moment I do get a chance, I will, since I'm very curious to see if this is a better option than to have a single armor repair. So that would basically be the next goal for this navy. And I know you're probably curious to see the frigates. I have a bunch of faction frigates here. These frigates are ancient. These ships are like 3 years old. I don't know how they actually got in my. Actually, I know how I got these ships. One of my friends that left the game left these ships, and I just picked them up because I just felt bad to have the ships just sit there and yeah. PvP fitted succubus, a very old build. This build is like 3 years old. I probably wouldn't be using this. I would go with a passive tank on the succubus. This build came from a time where you could actually do something like this, and it was quite fun. And there is the drum mill. Not really sure if I ever used this drum mill, and I have no idea where I got it from. I have a lot of ships. I think this is also one of the ships that my friend sent me. Also a very cute little frigate. But this one has no... yeah, this one is not fitted. But yeah, very, very nice. So maybe I will use them for combat. I don't know. But with that being said, time to undock and let's have some fun. So the first target for today will be a Chameleon. Now we have tried to bait the Chameleon for around 50 minutes, and they finally did take the bait. So we are now rushing in, and since this is a Chameleon, we all want a piece of that ship. I mean, after all, this is a very expensive faction cruiser, and they're kind of rare, although they're surprisingly very popular for a Sino-ship option for some reason. In any case, 3 navies shooting at the Chameleon was, well, it feels a little bit like overkill, but you know, we were kind of trying to kill it as quickly as possible before our bubble dies. Since the bubble was a bait, and for some reason the Chameleon has some very nice DPS, and it also looks like the Chameleon has some drone implant, and unfortunately the build isn't really that good. One extender and a medium, one medium extender and a large booster. Well, not really the build that I would use for that thing. I mean, yeah, kind of a fail Chameleon build, to be honest. Let's go to the next targets. Now, usually when I have to fight with a battlecruiser or cruiser, I would take a cruiser myself, but I have the feeling that this Cyclone is going to be a bit, well, let's say I didn't want to risk the targets running away, so I brought a ship that has enough points and a ship that has enough DPS. And of course the Macarial isn't exactly a cruiser, but it is the closest battleship. It is the closest thing to a cruiser a battleship can get. So it should do the job just fine. And it's a battlecruiser. My opponent is a battlecruiser, so it is probably going to be able to lock it on very quickly. And the Cyclone was also in a large anomaly, which kind of raised the suspicion that it might be a bait, but time to find out what will happen. So there is the Cyclone, very close, a fantastic weapon by the way. Scrambled, webbed, and its first two salvos wiped the shield off. Well, doesn't have to be mentioned that my Macarial has a lot of DPS, so that was a very nice catch. Okay, let's loot. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the Cyclone had an expensive drone, and basically that expensive drone made me consider taking a Macarial instead of the Celos for this target. Since if I see a expensive drone, I just assume that the whole ship might be very expensive, so in that case you definitely don't want to miss the target. And I got the target. I destroyed the ship very quickly actually. I always forget how satisfying it is to fly the Macarial. This thing just slaps. A very, very nasty ship. Angel ships are perfect for the job. They have the speed, they have the DPS, and they have some form of tank. Well then, nice. That's all I have to say about the Cyclone. 2.2 billion Cyclone with B types. Well, not all B types have dropped, but I got the drone. I did get some of the important modules, and they also had stabs. So very happy that I actually took the ship instead of the Celos, because if it was the Celos, the Cyclone could have warped off. So yeah, it was a good choice to take this ship. Now let's go to the next target. We have a Mauler. Now usually I did say that I will bring a different ship when I have to fight the random cruisers, the lower tier cruisers, and I think I have parked the ship. Today actually I did park my old RB, so from now on I probably will use my RB for this type of combat. But it would look like the Mauler was aligned, and when I say this type of combat, I mean for a tier 6 Mauler I would use a RB, or a Starter Fleet, or something similar to that. But this Mauler was aligned, so in this case unironically a Stratius would be the best idea, since the Stratius can tackle the ships cloaked. Now here I have decided to wait a little bit. And why is my ship so slow? I have no idea. 1.1 kilometer per second with the micro warp drive. That's a bit too slow even if, with the battery mode active. Not really sure what's up with that. Shouldn't slow down the ship that much. Did I mess up my micro warp drive? No, I didn't. Okay, well, looks like they have changed the speed reduction on the battery mode. That's interesting. Didn't reduce my speed that much with the micro warp drive. Oh well, it's fine. I don't really mind it. Well then, let's go and see if the Mauler has returned. Now the Celos is such a fun ship to fly. I really enjoy flying this thing. It is. I really wish that the Macarial had like a special edition version of it, because I would definitely fly it. It would. That is, I would say, the only ship worthy of replacing my Macarial, to be honest. Unfortunately, or luckily, we still don't have such a ship in the game, but maybe soon. With the Black Ops battleships being announced, maybe soon. Well, the Mauler was definitely a very easy kill. That's not something that is surprising. I looted the wreck and now let's warp out. In this case I would actually have a cloaking device on the Celos, but I decided against it because sometimes a Mauler can be ridiculously tanky. And I've had occasions where my Cinnabon wasn't able to break a Mauler's tank. That was a long time ago, but still, my Cinnabon back then had over 1000 DPS, and it still wasn't able to break the tank of a Mauler. Now this thing has much more DPS, that's true, but still, a Mauler is still a Mauler, and these things are the tankiest tier 6 cruisers in the game, although this one wasn't that tanky. Only one medium armor repair. Alright, let's go to the next target. We have a thorax prototype, and of course, I am in the bot Mauler. Now, I actually jokingly nicknamed the ship the bot Mauler because when I built it, there used to be a lot of bot Maulers flying around, and that kind of inspired me to get this ship and to build it the way it is built. It is very cheap, very cheap overall. Like I can just eat this thing around, and if it dies, it dies. I don't really care because it is a very cheap ship. The modules are also ridiculously cheap. It is a ship that I have for fun. And well, let's see what this thorax is doing. There is no. Well, it looks like this thorax might be a bait. I don't know. There is definitely something suspicious going here. Okay, my damage drastically dropped off on armor. It is to be expected. Might be a bait actually. We will about to find out, I guess. Or not. Well, 50% armor almost. Although my lasers aren't doing that much damage on armor, it is to be expected. After all, armor ships are very good to tank. Oh, would you look at that? A armor plate. Okay, that's interesting. And they are using railguns, rifled railguns. Okay. Well, not really sure what kind of build that is, but I am not being webbed. I am not being scrambled, which is kind of confusing. I did expect to see a weapon scrambler, but apparently that's not the case at the moment. Although something I didn't really expect to see. I didn't really expect to see my orbit being too fast for my lasers. I had some issues tracking, so now I'll just go into the old keep at range option. I might take more damage, but that's fine. I should be able to tank. Should be able to repair a lot if necessary. So this Mauler is built for tanking. Very cheap build. Has no integrations. Only like tier 2 rigs or maybe one tier 3 rig, but that's about it. It's a very cheap ship. And the thorax got destroyed. Nice. Let's take a look at wreck. Well, that's definitely not a bait thorax. I have no idea what they were doing here though. But let's warp out. Would be funny if I warp to a gate accidentally. That would be... I would just... If I ever do that with this ship, I'll just laugh. Because that is going to be a very, very cheap loss, to be honest. It would be a very, very cheap loss. So I wouldn't be mad at all if I were to make a... If I were to make such a mistake with this ship, I would be just laughing. Because this thing is just so cheap. Ridiculously cheap ship. Okay, let me align myself towards that point in space and let's take a look at the kill. Well, obviously, not a bait. I did expect a bait, but this is obviously, yeah, not a bait thorax. Oh well, let's go to the next targets. Now, why are my turrets all over the place? I have absolutely no idea, but the next target is a Oracle. Now, recently in the past week or so, I've noticed a lot of ships just completely avoid even attempting to run the mission. They just don't want to be in the same constellation as me, so they immediately cancel the mission or they immediately warp out. And PvP guys also do the same. They just nope out if I'm in local. It's kind of funny, since I've been mostly doing PvE stuff in the last couple days. But still, they see me in local and local is empty. It's just how it goes. The Oracle, I think they warped out. I'm fairly sure. Yep, they warped out. Alright, fair enough. I mean, I missed like a Vindicator, I've missed a Prophecy 2 command, I've missed a Vigilant, I've missed a Macarial. All of these ships came in, saw me, and basically turned around and noped out of the system. That's basically what's been happening for maybe for quite a while actually. I haven't really paid much attention to it, but I know for a fact I've been missing a lot of ships. Most of them recognize me and they just refuse to be in the same system, which is fine. Kinda funny though, but that's just how it goes. Now here I decided to wait a little bit, but eventually decided to dock. Now, next target we have a Harby. The Harby surprisingly almost decloaked my Aster. It is kind of funny that one time where I don't warp at 100, it just happens that I nailed to almost land on top of the Harby in first try with a blind, like blind warping it, and I landed on top of it with my Aster. So I'll try to land on top of it this time with the proper ship that's for the job, and that will be 73 kilometers. Should throw me at about 4 kilometers from the Harby. If they move, then it's going to be around 20 kilometers by the time I land. Well, we're about to find out what will happen. And yes, they moved. They definitely moved. Not much though, but they moved. So the one time where I need to land on top of the target, I don't. But when I am in a ship that's not built for combat, I land right at 0 on them. That's just bad luck. Nothing I can do about it. Okay, barrage engaged, battle mode engaged. That's a very nice rate of fire. I love the rate of fire on this thing. It's just insane. And there we go. Harby destroyed. Let's take a look at the wreck. And let's warp out. I actually don't like that asteroid belt. I think I just warp to a different asteroid belt and then align to the station. Yeah, that's a bad asteroid belt. Let's just go to something that's more far away. It would be funny if I accidentally click on the gate. I would be. I don't know if the gate guns can actually cloak you if you cloak mid warp with timer and if you land on the gate with timer. I think you should remain cloaked if you do that accidentally. So having a cloaking device as a panic button in that case is actually a very solid idea. In any case, let's align and let's take a look at the kill of 525 million. Now this is surprisingly a cheap but expensive build at the same time, and a cursed. Can you have all? Oh my god! It is cheap, it is expensive, and it's cursed, all in one ship. I'm impressed. Next start we have a Ferox. Now my navies, well, the Tempest Navy at least, the Tempest Fleet Navy, the Tempest Fleet issue has survived one super capital hot drop, and we've managed to prevent several more. So yeah, this thing has super capitals looking at it almost on a daily basis. And this is a very weird PvP Ferox, has no propulsion module. This is the Sino attempted that I want to talk about. This is a RB, well, was a RB. Not really sure what they were trying to do. They were quite salty in the local. Well, quite salty. They were a little bit salty in the local. I have no idea what their plan was. My plan was just delete the ship off the grid. That's basically what I'm doing. But yeah, that's a Sino that can open a portal that can land 2 super capitals, about 7 or 8 for I really forgot what's their total multi-boxer fleet. I have no idea what ships they have. I know they have like a bunch of super capitals, versatile assault ships, stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of nasty stuff that you don't want to get jumped with, because that's a lot of DPS. And this is a navy, but I wouldn't be trusting the tank on this thing to hold against 2 super capitals, a bunch of versatile assault ships, and stuff like that. That's a big nope. And this was a PvE Vigilant. That was a very solid kill as well. A very nice catch. Next we have another RB Cortops, and this is most likely another Sino ship. Kind of funny that when I was flying the Revelation, being jumped was something that was happening before the Revelation got known, but as time went on, the being jumped was kind of a rarity. Became a very unusual thing. The last time I got jumped with the Revelation was back when I got dropped by 20 Dreadnoughts. Of course I survived. That's the last time I remember that the Revelation got jumped by anything. I also attempted to catch the Oracle with my Statius, but that didn't work, because they still didn't return to the mission, which is fine, since I'm well aware that I'm not able to just catch every ship. Some will escape. It's fine, all part of the game. But I did return to the Statius. I did have a little break from the ship, but I figured out that I can't really hunt without it, because the stealthy Statius is just unmatched. No other ship can pull off the same thing that the Statius can pull off. And well, with that being said, that was a little PvP run for today. Definitely will be more in the upcoming days. I also have to do some PvE related videos for some ships that I have planned, so there is definitely a lot of work for me to do. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, play safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.